This is Frank Demore, and today's November the 7th, 2012. And I put the headline to my report, What is to Come? And the reason why I did this is because the Lord has given us specific information in His Word to show us that things of the future were not hidden from us, that we would know what was going to take place in the last days. And of course, I'm giving this to you today to try to connect the dots for you as simply as I can to show you that what the election we just went through in America is what the significance of who got elected and how it's going to affect the future, based on what we know from the Bible and based on what we know from Barack Hussein Obama and what he has done in the past. And I can assure you that what he's going to be doing in the near future. So in order for me to connect the dots between the current events and Bible prophecy, you need to know what the prophecies say. Bear with me. I know that many of my posts I've given you the same scriptures, but today is going to be different because it is extremely important that you understand what's about to take place in the near future. So according to the prophet Zechariah tells us, Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people around about. And when they shall be in the siege both in Judea and against Jerusalem, and in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. And all that burden themselves with it, notice this, shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth are gathered together against it. So here's the main focus of the last days. For all the people, it is going to be Jerusalem. It is going to be, who owns Jerusalem? The Jews. Anybody that goes against Jerusalem, that goes against the Jews, we know that the Lord told us, first of all, everybody, that means including the United States of America, will be coming against Jerusalem in the last days. And if you notice the scripture here, it says, It shall be cut into pieces. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut into pieces. In other words, you go against Jerusalem and God's people, the Jews, God is going to come against you, and you're not going to like the outcome when He pours His wrath out on you for going against the chosen people. And you have to understand, God chose the nation of Israel to demonstrate that He is God, the Lord God Almighty. He's going to sanctify His name through this tiny nation of Israel. So if you want to get cursed and if you want to get cut into pieces, then you come against Jerusalem. But we do know the Lord warned us, all the people in the last days will be coming against Jerusalem. And as you do this, obviously, there's a curse that is associated with this. We'll see this curse in Genesis 12:3. It says, I will bless those who will bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And so there is a curse against people who come against the Lord's people. Now, many of you who do not know the Lord probably won't even believe this, but I need to point this out because some of the things that you're going to be very soon in the news may help you to turn the leaf over and to come to the knowledge of the Savior Jesus Christ. Now in Joel, you'll see it in Joel chapter 3 verse 2, the Lord said this, And I will also gather all nations. Remember, here we go, all the nations. Now Joel's talking about primarily the same thing. I'll also gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Now this is where the destruction he's talking about takes place, and that's the valley of Jehoshaphat. And I will enter into judgment with them there on account of my people, my heritage, Israel. And I told you that the Lord was going to sanctify His holy name. If you want a little bit more information about this, just read Ezekiel chapter 39. You'll see that the day is coming when that war will take place, and the reason why it takes place on that day is because it was that day that the Lord has set in the future that everybody will know that God is protecting Israel. It goes on to say, whom they have scattered among the nations, and they also, get this, departed up my land. All right? So we have we have specific information of things that the Lord said, do not do. And if you do these things, you will end up in the valley of Jehoshaphat, or you will end up being cursed, or you will end up being what? Cut into pieces. So, now, before I go any further here, I wanted to show you what is the stance of President Barack Hussein Obama in relation to the nation of Israel and in relation to what we see from the scriptures in Zechariah, Genesis, and Joel. So for that, let me go back to an interview or a show that was aired back in 2011. I don't know the exact date of it, but it was back in 2011, and this show was talking about Barack Obama, all right, in his speech that he gave about the shift on Israel and Palestine. And this is the first time that any U.S. president has worked to try to separate, divide up Israel, and do exactly what the Lord said don't do. So let's listen to what the report has to say here. This way you'll understand that I'm not just blowing off hot steam. This is just one example of many, many examples where we know the policies of Barack Hussein Obama in relation to the nation Israel.
Some of the headlines, this is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Juan Gonzalez. Welcome to all of our listeners and viewers around the country and around the world. President Obama is set to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today at the White House, one day after Obama became the first U.S. president to explicitly call for Israelis and Palestinians to seek a two-state solution based on the 1967 borders. Obama made the remark during a major speech at the State Department on the recent uprisings in the Middle East and North Africa.
Ultimately, it is up to the Israelis and Palestinians to take action. No peace can be imposed upon them, not by the United States, not by anybody else. But endless delay won't make the problem go away. What America and the international community can do is to state frankly what everyone knows. A lasting peace will involve two states for two peoples.
There's the call for peace and safety.
Israel as a Jewish state and the homeland for the Jewish people, and the state of Palestine as the homeland for the Palestinian people.
And he's talking about
dividing
up Israel right here.
So while the core issues of the conflict must be negotiated, the basis of those negotiations is clear. A viable Palestine, a secure Israel. The United States believes that negotiations should result in two states with permanent Palestinian borders with Israel, Jordan, and Egypt, and permanent Israeli borders with Palestine. We believe the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 line. And so
let me stop it right there, because you see that he just said it, that the borders should be based on the 1967 borders. So there you have that Barack Obama is definitely giving statements and working towards dividing up Israel. Now, if you're new to prophecy, or if you're new to or don't understand the history, in 1967, East Jerusalem was taken over by the Israelis during a war, the War of 1967. They didn't own this land at all until the 1967 date. And this is the first time in almost 2,000 years now that Israel owns all of this Jerusalem, including East Jerusalem. And this has been the major problem in the peace negotiations, is the Palestinians, and not only just the Palestinians, but all the Arabs and all the Muslim nations want East Jerusalem to go back to the Palestinians, because that's where the third most holy site is for the Muslims, the Islamic faith. And so there is no question that the cup of trembling that the Lord had warned us about is taking effect right now, and Jerusalem is that burning the burdensome stone. We know that the call for peace and safety is already here. You just got through hearing Barack Hussein Obama talk about that. And it is going to be, you'll see more talk about this in the near future. And I can assure you, that the United States, as I said before, is not going to be on the side of the Israelis. They are going to favor the Palestinians. And we do know that, of course, this prophecy says that it's going to travail upon a woman with child. So when they're calling for peace and safety, that's when war is coming. Sudden destruction we see right here. That's when it's going to be coming. When is it going to be coming? We know because in Psalm 83, the Lord told us specifically who was going to be coming against Israel in the last days. Every single one of those nations are currently against Israel, and you'll see the Palestinians right here. You'll see the problem with the Gaza Strip, the Hamas and the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians there, and of course the rest of these nations who are listed will be attacking Israel. This is the sudden destruction that will be coming at the time that they're calling for peace and safety. Now, the peace process has been stalled for the past 2 years. There's no doubt that we'll hear more news about that, and this is what I want to cover today. But if you're new to the prophecy, just understand this. All those nations that I just showed you above are going to be coming together as a confederate nation. Bunch of nations coming together, all of these nations, to try to wipe out Israel. And we know when it's going to happen. Again, just to remind you, when they're calling for peace and safety. So let's see what the news says about Obama winning, keeping peace in the Middle East. Because this is not what's going to take place. We know that there won't be any peace in the Middle East. It'll be the exact opposite. So not what the media is writing about lines up with the word of the Lord, and anybody with a right mind and a right heart knows that the Bible is 100% accurate, and what it states is going to take place no matter what liberal press has to say about it. Now, according to this article, Obama will win. His win keeps the peace in the Middle East. Let's see a little bit what it says here, and I'll highlight it so that you can see it. The re-election of Barack Obama as the U.S. president will be well received by the GCC countries and the whole of the Middle East, according to the political experts. And of course, there's some truth there because Barack Hussein Obama has aligned himself with the enemies of Israel. The balance of how he's weighed out in his past 4 years is definitely on the side of the Islam states and with the Palestinians. So it says Obama's victory is good for the region and should calm the jitters that the pre-election talk of war had caused among peaceniks and the worries about Romney possibly going against the greatest achievement of Obama's presidency, said Dr. N. Jardhan of the UAE-based political analyst. Even if the domestic and economic compulsions condition Obama's policies abroad, the fact that there was no direct U.S. military intervention or full-fledged war under his presidency, particularly in this region, is the biggest success. Well, that's not fully the case. I mean, Obama has shifted people that were in Iraq. He didn't pull them out of Iraq. He kept them there. And then when he did pull them out of Iraq, what did he do? He didn't send them home. He sent most of those troops over to Afghanistan, of which they're there right now. So what this article is saying is just a rouge. Another one of the things to paint Barack Hussein Obama in a good light, but all you have to do is watch the news and you'll see what's going on. So now for the rest of this article, they're just showing you how because of Obama being elected again, there will be no war in the Middle East. And of course, that's not what the Bible has to say. The Bible tells us that when they're calling for peace and safety, that's what's going to happen. Now, if Barack Hussein Obama, and he will keep doing this, he's going to try to force Israel's hand. He's going to try to cause them to divide the land. And this is going to cause contentions between the Israelis and Americans. We're already seeing that develop, and it's going to get worse in the next 4 years. So let me go to this next article here, and you'll see this. This came out today. It says the Palestinian hope Obama will support their statehood bid. Now this is one of the major things that's going to happen in the near future. Barack Obama, you'll see that is going to be going towards the Muslim nations, as I just said, and he's going to actually start maneuvering, forcing Israel to try to agree on a Palestinian state. And if they don't do it, I don't doubt in my mind that he is going to say yes to a UN agreement to recognize the Palestinians. Look at this. Arab world reacts to U.S. President Barack Obama's re-election. The Palestinian Authority president offers congratulations. Of course he would, because Obama's been favoring the Palestinians for the past 4 years. Hamas, which is destined, and their charter, and along with the Palestinians, say, and it hasn't changed, they want to destroy Israel. Hamas leaders hope Obama's end, bias towards Israel, and a policy on the Palestinians, and Egypt wishes Obama success. All of these nations are radical nations who are in the process of causing hardships for Christians, and they're working at this particular time to cause Sharia law, which is, anybody who knows Sharia law takes freedoms away from their people. And so don't think that this is a big surprise that the people who hate Israel are in congratulating Obama, is because for the past 4 years, that's exactly whose friends he's been to. And just in that case, let me just bring this up. Barack Obama has been visiting for the past 4 years these dignitaries, these leaders, but not once in the past 4 years did he step on the land of Israel. So what does that tell you? And the shift is definitely taking place, all right, and that shift is going to, at the end result, no doubt will cause war. It's going to force Israel's hand. Now let me highlight this for you so you can see a little bit better. It says, while some ballots for the 2012 U.S. presidential election were still being counted, leaders in the Arab world already began to congratulate President Barack Obama on his re-election on Wednesday. Palestinian leader President Mahmoud Abbas called Obama and said that he hoped that the president would achieve or advance his efforts to achieve peace in the Middle East. So there you go, about the call for peace and safety. Now the chief Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat said that he hoped Obama would support the PA's bid for the upgraded status of a non-member state in the UN. That's what I was just talking to you about before. I believe that you'll see this sway, and I believe that the president will do exactly what this says, that he's going to try to make them a member of a non-member of the state, which will elevate their status up, and there's problems with that. Now, Erekat also urged that the re-election president to oppose Israeli settlements expansion in Judea and Samaria. So what they're trying to tell you here is obviously that Barack Hussein Obama for the past 4 years has talked to Israel saying you have to stop building on your own land. And of course, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu didn't listen to him. He said that he could do whatever he wants in his own land. And these two men are having contentions all the time, the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel. The AFP reported that the Hamas leaders expressed hope on Wednesday that Obama would change his approach toward the Palestinians in his second term after what they said was a disappointing approach during the first 4 years in office. Hamas spokesman Tahir al-Ayoun said that the organization would wait to see if Obama's policies would be more positive this time around, and you bet your bippy it's going to be. AFP reported, and we hope that Obama commits to the legitimate Palestinian rights and stops his policy of double standards and bias towards Israel, he was quoted as saying. But you have to understand here, this statement right here runs course against the grain, because Obama has favored the Palestinians. He's been working to divide the land. He's been working to make the capital of Israel, or the Palestinians, give back the East Jerusalem to the Palestinians. So, of course, in this article, you also have Egypt's president, which is, of course, Egypt is mentioned in the Psalm 83 war, but it says that the president, Mohamed Morsi, congratulated Obama as well and wished him success in his second term of office. They're friends. All of these people are friends. The people coming against Israel, Barack Obama is really good friends with them, and he has distanced himself from the Israeli prime minister. This is not good news for the United States. Now here, take a look at, this is another article that just came up. Today is the 7th. This is new. Israel mulls steps against PA over the UN bid. And I believe, and we'll be watching this in the near future, I really believe that Obama will go along with this, and it's just going to cause even more of a rift between the United States and Israel over this. Senior members of the Israeli cabinet on Tuesday weighed punitive steps that could be taken against the Palestinians if they pursue a campaign to upgrade their status to observer state at the United Nations this month. A senior Israeli official said that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's inner circle of ministers reached an agreement and a principle of measures Israel may take if the Palestinians ask the UN General Assembly for a diplomatic upgrade. The upgrade could grant the Palestinians, now registered as an observer entity, access to bodies such as the International Criminal Court, where they could file complaints against Israel. And this is where you would start to see the world, the entire world, coming against Israel, Israel's government. And we see the road being paved to Zechariah 12:3 through this. Israel and the United States oppose a unilateral move by the Palestinians, and they have called the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to return to peace talks that collapsed in 2010. So there you go again. They're talking about the peace and safety. They did collapse 2 years ago, as I said. So the prophecy from Paul is being fulfilled as well. The Israeli official who spoke on the condition of anonymity said that if the Palestinians pushed on with the UN bid, Israel may cancel the Paris Protocol, a key economic accord it maintains with the cash-strapped Palestinian Authority. Now, the official added that the government might also adapt portions of the legal panel's report that recommended in July a legalization of dozens of outposts set up by the Israeli settlers in the West Bank. In other words, if Israel sees that they're going to do it, they're going to just stand firm and take this land over. What's that going to do? All it's going to do is cause more frictions between the Palestinians and the Israelis. And believe me, folks, Jerusalem is that major problem. The West Bank is the major problem. Construction on land that the Palestinians believe is land that they have owned and it was taken away from them in 1967. These are all the problems that no doubt will cause the Confederate armies listed in Psalm 83 to attack Israel. Israeli commanders do not expect decisions on the steps before the result of Tuesday's U.S. election is known. And frustrated in their request for full statehood last year amid U.S. opposition at the UN Security Council, Palestinians have launched a watered-down bid to recognize a recognition as an observer state, the same status given to the Vatican. It says they are heading for a sure victory in a General Assembly which is composed mostly of post-colonial states historically sympathetic to the Palestinians, but West Bank diplomats are courting European countries to further burnish their case. So they're looking for any help that they can get, and I believe now that Barack Hussein Obama has been reelected, he can do whatever he wants. The real person of Barack Obama will be even more demonstrated, and you will see more of a lean with the Palestinian Authority. And I would definitely look for the United States to agree on their bid as a moving up into another status into the UN. So it's things to be looking for. So there's the news. And what does this tell us? Well, it just tells us this. Keep your eyes on what's going to be going on in the near future in the news. Watch more calls for the peace and safety. And then I can assure you that the sudden destruction is coming. Now, one of the reasons why I'm saying this is, first of all, Bible prophecy is never wrong. God is never wrong, and it's going to happen. We're already there, right here. And we're about ready to get here. And this is who's going to do it, right here. And why are they going to do it? Is because no peace agreement will be signed, frustration on both sides, and they will finally say, we've had enough, we're going to take it back. We're going to just take it back by force. If we can't win it through peace and safety, we're going to take it by force, and of course that will cause the sudden destruction. Now, we do have some time. We don't know how much time we have before all this is going to take place. But today is the day of your salvation. No matter what's going on between the United States and Israel, Jesus has given us all of this information for one purpose. Either you would believe him or you wouldn't believe him. He gave you the information to show you that his word is true, all of the things that he say come to pass, and that you would know that he is actually the Messiah of the world. Now, if you reject this, you reject Jesus, and you will be on the opposite stick of where you should be. And of course, once you go against Israel and you go against the wishes and the directions of God, you, according to what Jesus said, anyone who is not with me will be scattered. It's not going to be a good sight for America in the next 4 years if Barack Obama continues to do what he does, and there's nothing to suggest that he's going to change his position. And the only thing that I'm saying, it's going to change, but it's going to get a lot worse for Israel. You'll see this in the near future. Put up the red flag. Put up the red flag for November 7th of what I just got through saying, because you're going to see it take place. Why do I say this? Right here. God is never wrong. Right here, the curse and Joel. All of these things that the President of the United States is pushing on America by his leadership.